The joys of being a Carlton Football Club supporter and member. What a day yesterday was, eh? What a day. It was just another day that really I've experienced just so much in my life. I don't know about you guys. And this is probably the stain on the club in terms of the generations who've grown up. We're just used to that sort of disappointment. Losing, you sort of become numb to it. And that really is what that was for me yesterday. Very disappointed after the game, obviously. And, there will be a practical element to this as well, as there always is. But yeah, just to start so well and it just turned to shit real quick. Pretty quickly, actually. It was so bad. Oh gosh, we were so poor in that. It's second, third, fourth. Probably the second was the worst. But yeah, it was difficult to watch after, the week, the lead up. It happens all the time. It was the first week that I sort of declared my confidence, In the preview, I'm like, we've put a 7-week block together of solid football, but for the St Kilda game, we've been playing good footy, and I can have faith that this team's going to come out and be confident and play well. And the 1 week you make the declaration, and it, is the 1 week that happens. Not good. Lose by 37, 31, I think it was in the end, actually. So there's that. It's not the end of the world. It's just a shitty loss, It's we're going to be okay. That first quarter, I've got to say, so that pressure, the ball movement, it was as good as it had been all year. I felt that anyway. These are the sorts of feelings that I felt. The midfield pressure was elite. It allowed our defenders to just rest easy. It was as good as it's been. Honestly, I really enjoyed that first quarter, and we were everywhere. And, again, we are a team who's been talking about the starts are the most important thing. Get your starts right and everything else will take care of itself. 5 straight goals. There was a 9-2 free kick count at one point in that first quarter. I think it was at the end of the first. And so we knew that was going to be the case. We knew that there was going to be the response with the umpires, and they'd be looking out for the little things, and Cripps was looked after, and he has 11 touches in the first quarter, and it's all good. And even the start of the second quarter, I was still buzzing at this pressure. And I can't remember which goal it was. We kicked a goal, and I just got up off the couch, and I made the declaration. I'm like, we're playing finals football. How good is this? How good are my boys? We've done it. We've put ourselves in this situation, up and about. We're beating Hawthorn. We're going to put the nail in the coffin. How about the baggers? And then we just turned to shit. Like, complete and utter shit. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. It was just shocking. Oh my God. And I probably didn't catch on to the fact that it was going bad until probably once they were probably a goal or two up at the end of that second. I started saying things like, it's happening again. The leaders were making mistakes when they were needed to stem the flow. The leaders were making mistakes. Murphy, Jones, and I just, how can we be so bad? Almost worse than what we were good in the first, and we were mighty good in the first, like really good. We were. That was finals football. That was beautiful, and we were as good as that was. We were worse in the second quarter. I felt personally, it was bad, man. It was bad. It was, it wasn't just effort. I mean, that was a big part of it, and Tiggy did mention it. He did say, we just didn't win the contest from the second onwards, and Hawthorn lifted it. And that was true. But, Hawthorn were down, 31-0, and, you just, like, they looked shell-shocked. And then sort of the second quarter happened, and then they made the adjustment. And then when it was time for us to make the adjustment, and when the momentum goes the other way, and we just shit the bed. We don't have guys who can just make the right decisions. And when you've got the Murphys and the Joneses and the Crippses and the Dohertys making and the Simos making skill errors in those times, like, what do you want the rest to do? And it was tough. I found myself declaring, in my mind anyway, maybe for you it was very much before that. Jarman Impey kicks the goal. Samo sort of gets caught up in the contest, doesn't impact the contest, goes to ground. Ball spills out. Jarman Impey runs, kicks a goal, and that was the moment I'm like, we're absolutely not winning this football game. It just looked like guys who weren't able to make the adjustment, sort of mid-game. It just looked like that. And I thought Doc and Wiedering actually did pretty well in that third to stand out. And then I took one more note after that, and that was it. I didn't need to say much more after that. I don't need to say much more after that. It was just poor, and a lot's going to be said. It was, we're a fascinating bunch. We're so emotional, and it's when we win, it's great. When we lose, it just can get a bit much. I just found myself after the game, I had the laptop there, and I just closed it, put it away, and then I just chilled out. A lot of people do what they do. Some people pour a drink. Some people go for a dart. Some people roll one up. Whatever your coping mechanism is. Some people just get on Facebook and chat it out. Everyone's coping mechanism is different. And I just found myself disconnecting, and I appreciate that lesson that I've learnt over time to be able to do that. Because you got to sleep on it. It's very disappointing. There's going to be criticism. It's going to be constructive. I don't know if just sort of chastising is the way to do it, but end of the day, like, everyone supports in their own way, and it is what it is. This is where the tolerance and the empathy's got to come in, I think, because everyone supports in a different way. There probably are some things that we need to be a bit more accountable for in the way that we go about what we say to players online. And, I was actually, to be honest with you, I was a little uncomfortable making a post after the game. I usually do, a photo with a little caption and sort of a leave your thoughts below. And if I'm being honest, I was a little uncomfortable doing it last night just because I could sense how bad the emotion was, and I kind of didn't want to make it a platform for toxicity, and I sort of felt like that was happening. But at this, it's sort of that balance between everyone's going to have to everyone should be able to have their say, and some of this shit, we got to try and not get personal. But I'm not here to police anyone. Everyone is accountable for themselves. But it was tough, and the emotion has to be there. The disappointment has to be there because we let it slip, especially when we put ourselves in a position to do so well. And it was the same position as last week against North, perfect start. And then it was like, put them away now. And you can argue with North, they changed it up. They went the man, they played a tougher brand, and they made it a scrap. Hawthorn didn't make it a scrap. Hawthorn just lifted. And then when it was time for us to lift, it didn't look like we were just able to do it, The hitouts, I tried to look at stats that could, I thought the tackles were there. The hitouts, we got slaughtered there, 18 to 42. The tackles were there, 56 to 43. At least we don't have to worry about, were they tackling and putting that effort in. So, the effort was there. It was just execution was poor. And put it down to whatever it is. But, I'm in this mindset of let's look at the win-losses rather than sort of look at the micro in the game yesterday. I'm more so, all right, we're 4-4, we're 4-5. And the key for me, is we're going to lose games. We're going to have bumps along the road. And the key for me is, can we just not let them become a trend? I think Port were in a similar situation last week. They lost, and everyone sort of thought, oh, here comes the bad run of form, and the D's are up and about, and then they were able to bounce back. And that's what it's got to be for us. It's going to be a climb and a claw, and there's for every one, step forward, you're sort of going to take a step back. And we've probably had 2 or 3 weeks now where we've been pretty happy with how they've gone. I know we lost against Port, and we didn't play our best against North, but we got the win. And so we're not used to that territory of just 3, 4, 5 weeks of just good. And this is where we're at. And I will not let myself talk about this team being young and inexperienced, because that team on the park was more than capable of winning that game of football. And we weren't carrying youngsters. You could say we might have been carrying more a little bit because he's still so fresh to the system. But I think I'm just making an excuse because he's a mature age guy and things like that. But yeah, we're 4 and 5. We've got a 9-day break. We go to we're playing West Coast, the ramp at West Coast on their home deck, and it all looks like, a disaster there. But listen, I have faith and confidence in this group. Why? Because of what I've seen this year. I've seen what we are capable of for the good and for the bad. I've seen that when we play in hostile environments, there's the 2 main away games, the Geelong in Geelong and West Coast in Perth. They're probably the hardest fixtures right now, in my opinion. So I don't fear us going there and just getting belted. So there's that, and it's all going to be okay. Honestly, it's all going to be okay. I just look at this as a bump along the journey that was coming at one point or another, because we're not there yet to do it consistently. There were cracks appearing in games prior to this one, for sure. I thought, we had 63 clangers last week against North, so we sort of let that happen as well. And I saw some people talking about the umpiring. It's funny. When you're going well, when you build up, I don't know what it is, it's like footy god credits. When you build up footy god credits, the umpiring goes your way. Then when you lose those credits, the umpiring doesn't go your way. And that was the way it was. So fair play to Hawthorn. Well done. Again, you've got us. Is it a mental thing? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but fuck. They've got us again. And that's it. That's that. We move on. It's tough, but, not the end of the world. We can't just trade people now. That talk's going to be interesting this week. We've got to trade him, and he's done. But we'll get to that. We'll get to the player ratings, and we'll go through them. And these are the ones that are probably more valuable than the wins when we do these player ratings, because they come in losses, and that's where the real sort of learning can happen. The best learnings come from failure. And today was a failure on the day, and so we've got to take that there. So that's that. I want to thank Brandon from Melbourne Coffee Roasting Co. for, the hookup here. Carlton 15 on the website. You get 15% off your coffee. I've just had one before this, so I'm feeling up and about. Disappointing. We'll be okay. A lot to work through. Leaders let us down, and just not our day. So with that, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the play ratings video. Go the Mighty Blues.